So our MOOC, Social Learning for Social Impact, is going to involve groups that are already collaborating on some kind of social initiative, and many of the people who take this group will be joining across the world, and they've never worked together. For both sets of groups, what could you offer as tools to create the dynamics for their work to manifest in a way that is productive?
One is spending some time really looking at the deep why of your organization. So I think so often we get very caught up in our mandate, in our mission, in the what we're doing, rather than the how are we doing it and the why are we doing it, the more intangible things. Partly because, a big part is that funders don't pay attention to that stuff, right? And so then you start reacting to what funders want, and it's very concrete goals and objectives. And so we've found that is, organizations often start very connected to that deep why. And then as time goes on, they gradually get further away from that. And so I think that any organization that has a social purpose can dig deep enough into that purpose where they get to the point that their purpose is one that serves everyone, the world. And so once you get to that point where you dig down deep enough, so for example, in an environmental organization that's focused on sustainability, if you really look at, well, what is sustainability? And what is, what does it mean for human beings to live on this earth in a way that's sustainable? And it's all about interconnectedness, so just that as an example. Are we, in the way that we go about our work, are we working with those same values internally? So are we taking that kind of, those principles of sustainability, and are we working in a way that's aligned with those? Or just say...
well, let me test whether I get this.
Yeah.
So homelessness, for example. So the social problem is you want to get people off the street, you want to give them houses, food to eat, jobs potentially. But when you dig deeper, is that really sort of about human dignity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of...
Exactly. So it's not the food, obviously everyone needs to eat, but some people, we started the organization because some people really aren't getting enough to eat, right? So the people in the organization, they have enough to eat. So you'd have to dig down further, yeah. So what is the fundamental purpose of the organization? Okay. And it seems that the more that you dig down and you stay connected to that, the more that you naturally start embodying that, because the people in the organization, they feel it in a way that is kind of, it's an intangible way. It's not through just your objectives and the things that you can hold on to. And it's easier for some organizations to dig down to the deep why than others. So for example, a school, it's about learning, right? We all need learning. That's how we grow and survive as human beings. So of course the teachers should be deeply connected to their own learning and to each other's learning. And so that's a very simple example of that. Or health, hospitals. And what's interesting is both of these kinds of institutions are some of the most toxic places to work in. Schools, public schools, or schools in general, I should say, and say hospitals. Those are both, if you talk to teachers in public schools and you talk to doctors and nurses, both of those environments are horribly lack learning and are unhealthy, right? So those are stark examples. When a teacher is just alive with their own learning, and I'm sure everyone has had this experience of the greatest, professors, those people are just alive with their own learning, and as a result, you feel alive with your own learning. There's an organization in Cape Town that we've recently come to get to know, which is this amazing place called Our Labs. And their focus is on community-driven tech solutions for low-income communities that are they're just really struggling with gang violence and with poverty and with drugs, and this place has their mission is to create a movement of hope worldwide, and their first focus is to make sure that the people that are at the core of that organization that are working there every day that they feel this sense of hope, and and they do, and this place is amazing. And as a result, it just oozes out of them, you know? And so their own development is key to their work, and they're an incredible place that you talk to people there and they just start crying. Yeah, it's amazing.
As you're on the brink of doing.
Yeah.
Thinking about that.
Well, you know, I am, that's why I do this work.
Yeah.
Because, now you're going to make, because I've experienced these places, and they're just so different, and they're so alive, and I feel like, you know, part of the challenge of doing social change work is it gets really depressing when you're just focusing on the problems. And so to be in spaces that are really creating the change now, not waiting until the results in goodness knows how many years, but now, it gives you a sense that it's possible.